Have you ever wondered why you're failing at the gym? Why you might start and then stop and don't seem to make much progress? And if you do, it's very little and then you backslide again? That's what we're going to talk about. Let's dig into this because this is a real problem for a lot of people. The first thing I want to address when we're talking about why, especially middle-aged people, fail at the gym is the very first thing is that they're not clear on their goals. See, a lot of people come into the gym who may be newer or may not be into like bodybuilding like me or powerlifting or anything else. They're just recreational gym goers, which is lovely. But the problem with that is they're not in on the idea that a lot of us other people at the gym have. So I'm going to let you in on a little secret. You usually cannot chase two rabbits at the same time at the gym. Now, if you're somebody who's very detrained, or meaning that you're not used to training, or you have a lot of body fat to get rid of, or a lot of muscle to build, you do have this magical time of being a new person where you can do this. But for the most part, the average person cannot chase two rabbits at the same time. Meaning, when you go into a gym, you see a new person, you ask them what they want to do. Lose fat, build muscle. That is so hard to do at the same time, unless you're a new person to the gym. If you're decently physically active, this is going to be very, very hard because there's some basic laws of thermodynamics that go into how a body builds muscle. So to lose fat, you need to be in a calorie deficit of 3,500 calories to lose 1 pound of fat. However, to build muscle, you usually need to be in a calorie surplus. So your body has extra material or extra building blocks to build muscle. So you can see naturally where those two things conflict. So the first thing that usually people get wrong, which kind of short circuits their progress, is not to be clear on the goal. My suggestion is go into the gym and decide, do I want to lose fat or do I want to build muscle? If you're going to do any kind of I want to build fat, be very clear. Do I want to lose fat or do I want to build muscle? And then focus on that one thing. My general suggestion is if you have weight to lose, go through losing the fat first. Now, yes, you are going to be doing resistance training. The more muscle that you develop, you are going to be more efficiently burning calories. I definitely suggest resistance training. It's going to help your overall health, but make your primary goal losing fat. After a while, when you lose fat and you've lost a decent amount, then go into a holding period or like a maintenance period with your calories, and then slowly begin to do a calorie surplus. I would start with maybe 300 calories per day in surplus. Maybe even a little less, but I think 300 calories is pretty safe to start off with. And then gradually you are going to build that up while you're working hard in the gym, while you're hopefully following a plan, which is one of the reasons why I'm going into number 2. Another reason why people have a tendency to fail at the gym, and I did this for so long, is they'd go into the gym and just kind of like throw it all together when they were there. So for me, for example, I had my little workout journal and I would go into the gym and I might warm up, and while I'm warming up, I'm figuring out what I'm going to do for my workout that day. Well, the problem with that is that a lot of times I would just change my exercises based on my mood, and that's not going to help. When you're trying to develop muscle mass, it's kind of like, in a way, learning a language. You're not going to try and learn 5 languages in 1 month. You're not going to retain very much. You're not going to become very fluent. You're not going to be able to sort through all the different languages. You really want to focus on just one thing. Well, it's the same thing with your exercise selection. If I'm looking to build my quads, the front part of my legs, and I'm sorry, my hair is just like in my face today. If I'm at the leg press machine and I'm doing narrow stance leg presses, to build my quads and I only do it once a month, I'm not going to reap the benefit of that exercise like I would if I was doing this 1 to 2 times a week for several sets and then progressively overloading, which also goes into one of my other 5 things. So it's really important that when you go to work out, it's not haphazard. This is if you want very specific goals. I have very specific goals. I want to develop my legs. I want to develop my glutes. I want to develop my hamstrings. I have goals. And for me to achieve those goals, I have got to hammer those muscles in exercises until I feel like the exercise time, like the selection needs to change. So for example, my coach and I, we just changed my exercise selection for some of my movements. You decide you want to change a movement when you feel like you're not growing from that movement anymore. If you continue to feel stimulus from it, you feel disrupted in your muscles when you're working them out and you're seeing changes, you keep rocking with that exercise because you are reaping the benefits. But when you hit a point where you're not reaping the benefits anymore, it's time to change that exercise. So my programs that I do for my clients usually last between 8 weeks to 12 weeks on specific exercises. And then around 12 weeks, I might do something called a deload, which is also going to come up in this video. And then I'll change the exercise selection. So we do a deload when you're beginning to feel fatigue build up. And that usually is at the end of a program. So for me, I usually need to deload somewhere around 8 or 9 weeks when I'm not dieting. I'm dieting hard right now. And because I'm dieting, I will get fatigued faster. And so I need my deload sooner. So now I'm deloading at 7 weeks in the same program. And then my coach and I made some decisions, changed some movements, and I'm starting a new program. So programs are long thought out processes. It's really important. If you want to have a goal, if you have a place you want to get to or a physique you want, especially coming to summer, like shoulders look really good for the summer. They make your waist look nice and narrow. They look fantastic in strappy tops. And just talking to the girls here, but I'm sure it works for gentlemen out there too. If I have those goals, and that's something I need to consistently keep working on. And the only way I'm going to do that is if I'm following a program. So that's like the second mistake that I see all the time when I go to the gym and I have well-intentioned people ask me, well, why are you doing this and why are you doing that? I'm happy to tell them. But I also know some of these people just come in and haphazardly work out. And don't get me wrong, I'm not judging. I'm happy that you're at the gym. Please be at the gym. Keep coming to the gym. We need you there. But if you want to get the best bang for your buck and the time, basically an ROI, if you want to get a return on your investment of time, you want to follow a program. It's going to get you where you want to go faster. Okay? Now, along with that program is progressive overload. So you have a program, which is basically your plan, that stretches out over the course of 8 to 12 weeks. In each one of your workouts, you want to use progressive overload, which means you want to get to a point of exertion that is close to failure, mechanical failure. So what does that mean? Mechanical failure means that you're doing a lift and you've done so many reps that you are at a point where you can't talk. Like, you know how you're working out and all of a sudden something gets hard and you're like, all of a sudden you stop talking and you have to focus to execute the next few. That is like your good working range right there. Like I tell my clients, I say reps in reserve of 2 to 1 usually in their workouts, sometimes 3 if we're in a deload. Reps in reserve means how many more repetitions do I have in the tank before I just can't do anymore. So my gauge for my clients is usually like, that period of time where all of a sudden you're doing a movement, like let's see if you're doing a bench press and you do a bench press and all of a sudden you stall out, do 2 to 3 more. Then you're at like that limit where you're close to failure. You want to be close to failure for your body to start to adapt. So the only reason why we build muscle is your body is adapting to this movement that you're doing over and over again your body's going, well, I guess we have to learn how to do this better because we seem to be doing it a lot. And so the muscles grow in reference to those exercises. So that's why if you're doing glute kickbacks and your glutes are constantly being stretched and forced to contract really hard, you see glute growth. It's the same thing. Your body is adapting to a stimulus. If you've given it the proper fuel, it'll start putting on more muscle tissue in those areas. So following a periodized plan or a program is really important. You want to make sure you're using progressive overload, and periodized just basically means that we're going from point A in intensity and in plan to like point B. For me, that usually is 1 to 7 weeks or 8 weeks. For my clients, that's usually 1 to, depending on the client, 8 to 12. Now, this one, it's a sore spot. I'm not targeting anybody now, but one of the biggest reasons why I see people fail their gym endeavors, especially middle-aged women, is because they are all into that cardio and nothing but cardio. And listen, cardio is really important for us. It's so important for our cardiac health. It is so important for our metabolism. It just feels good. It feels good to get in there and sweat and you feel like you worked. But cardio needs to be coupled with some type of resistance training in order for it to be as beneficial as it can be. Cardio is fantastic and it will help in some areas. I do have a personal bias where I believe that resistance training and weight-bearing exercises builds more bone density than cardio, but that's a bias of mine and I don't have the science to back that up. So I've just not done the research on that. I've just heard more in the scientific circles about that. So that's why I'm just regurgitating that for you. Both are really good. You want to be concerned about bone density, and in order to maintain or grow your bone density, you do need resistance training. You also can do jump training, jump ropes, plyometrics. Those are all things that you're going to see in a cardiovascular type of training as well. So, or jogging, like that's going to be very helpful too. When you're doing these exercises, once we're over 45, I want to say, this is really, we need to start thinking about longevity, not just aesthetics. And believe me, I'm vain. I'm all about the aesthetics. You've seen some of my videos. But it's so important now that when we're working out, it's for so much more than just aesthetics. We're talking about longevity. We're talking about keeping up with our kids, potentially grandkids. We're talking about being able to take independent trips well into our 80s and 90s and live full, long, independent lives. All right. The fifth thing that I often see people fail at is that they schedule their training around their life, not their life around their training. And this sounds so selfish, and I am fully aware of that, but I have learned time and time again, if I do not put myself first, I am going to come in dead last every time. When I wait for the afternoons to train, I have already sacrificed so much that day. And what's going to happen is a child is going to need something. I'm going to have to run an errand. I'm going to have to drop a kid somewhere. The dogs are going to need something. A friend is going to need something. Work is going to have a late meeting. If I'm able to get that workout done first thing in the morning, I've already had a win for that day. It has already added to my self-confidence. It's already made me feel better, and it's already accomplished a huge goal for me for that day. So for me, I schedule my life around my training. And don't get me wrong, training does not take priority over my kids. It's just it's the first thing that I do. So, for example, when I go on tournaments for volleyball for my girl, I figure out like, okay, I can't train during this weekend. Hey, if I can get cardio in during that time, because yes, I do cardio. If I can get cardio in during the time, that's great. That's gravy. I'm going to get my training done before. I'm not going to wait. And the other thing is too, I have clients that have a tendency to want to wait, like take the first few days of the week and not train, and then try and train Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Hey, whatever works for you, but I notice that for my people who don't start the week with a training session, always feel like they are like losing time. They don't have enough time to catch up, and they just can't get it done. My week in my brain, my week starts on Sunday. That's just the way my brain functions. I choose my calendars that way. My week starts Sunday. Sunday is my biggest leg day. So I do legs on Sunday and cardio. Monday is an upper day for me. And if I can cardio, or cardio is then on Tuesday. Wednesday is my lower day 2. So I have 2 full dedicated sessions for lower. And then Friday is a full body where I do lower and upper. Those are my general days. I'll move them around as much as I need to. But I know if I can start my week with that big workout, everything else gets easier. It's harder the moment I put that off. So for those people who, especially now at this period of time, like we're approaching the end of March, we're going to start seeing people taper off for the gym because they either haven't adapted into a schedule, or they just haven't built those systems into place, or they didn't have realistic goals. This is something I hope that keeps you in the gym, that keeps you focused. Get a program, use progressive overload, and make sure that you are not overdoing the cardio. Get your resistance training in. And if you don't know how to do it, ask people or just go to some machines, the weight stack machines. It's a great place to learn. And above all, you want to schedule that training, like have that start your week, have that start your day. So that way, everything else that comes after that is going to be gravy. Remember that, the gym is a personal battle for everybody. I am a gym rat, but like last week, I did not want to be there. I didn't want to be there all week, but I became disciplined. It is just a part of what I do. And that's what you want to get to. You just want it part of how you do things in life. Because once it's discipline, once it's something that's just ingrained in you, it's just a non-negotiable, and you always, always feel better when you're done. And in the meantime, while you're doing those personal battles every day, just getting to the gym, you are growing stronger. Your bones are getting stronger. Your longevity and your lifespan is hopefully getting longer. So there's just so many benefits to this. So I hope this video helped you. Thank you so much for sticking around. Please consider giving me a like and subscribe. And in return, I will do my best to read and comment on any comments that you've left me. And I hope you have a great night. Thanks.